I'm Rick Scott and I play the Dulcimer Doodads, Doodads. I'm gonna play all day long if I wanna, oh de doodad day. I'm a dad, by the way, so I'm throwing that into this little tune. But this portion of my Dulcimer show is to tell you about some doodads, doodads. Gotta have a doodad, doodad. Gotta have a doodad song. That's all I got for that. But I want to tell you about little things that I've discovered over the years in ways to play the dulcimer. One of them was that every now and then I would be playing with other musicians and they'd have to say, what key are we playing in? And they'll say, we're playing in the key of E, which is a very common chord to play in. But for the dulcimer player that plays in the key of D, it's kind of, well, how do I play in the key of E? And I came up with the idea of, well, if I could somehow attach something to my dulcimer that would hold the E chord, I could start, playing in the key of E. I'd be there already, so I wouldn't have to, I could, fit easily into the key of E. But how am I going to do that? Pencil, rubber band. And I'd lay the pencil across the fingerboard, hook one end of the rubber band on it there, slap it all on there, and then bring it all around to there. And just to make sure it worked, I would put a second rubber band on it. And even though it took a little bit of time, the band is waiting to play in the key of E, now I'm ready because now I'm in the key of E. The embarrassing part of this is that when I was on the road, I would always forget to bring rubber bands with me. So if someone would call out, okay, we're playing in the key of E, I'd go, and I'd have to make the announcement. Does anyone have a rubber band in the audience? You know what? Somebody always had a rubber band and a pencil. So I was okay to play in the key of E now because of this wonderful invention, which is technically you'd say, oh, that's a capo. That's the tool that is used on guitars to go up the neck when you want to go up higher on the neck. Then I could play in the key of E. But then progress came to the dulcimer community, and some smart chap down there in America came up with the capo, which is right there. Well, that was a smooth transition, wasn't it? This is a dulcimer capo, and I highly recommend you get one and put it someplace so you can find it easily, especially if you're doing a video about how to use a capo. You should just be able to reach over and grab it instead of looking all over. Never mind. So the way the capo works, it's got a little screw that tightens up this piece. It goes back and forth like that. So it'll grip the sides of the fingerboard. Yeah? And you push it down and then you just tighten it up. You don't need no rubber band. You don't need a pencil. You got a capo. And it looks better too, doesn't it, than a bunch of rubber bands strapped around your dulcimer. And you can just put it any old place you want. You can even put it places where the rubber band would not stretch because it's too much of a stretch to get around this part of the body. But you can still take your capo and tighten it up, and you can play way up here. Gives it a whole nother game, doesn't it? Gives you a nice high sound. Capos for dulcimers. But in the event that you can't locate, I guess I can put on my credits of where to get these from. I'll do that, and you can find one if you want one. Or I could put also on the credits where you can find a rubber band and a pencil. Anywhere. Okay, That's one of the doodads. Another doodad that's kind of cool is there's a fellow in California that makes these, and for the longest time I really enjoy just taking a chopstick and I just like the way that sounded, very percussive. Chopsticks work really well, pencils work really well, but there's a guy down in California and he makes these beautiful little hammers, he calls them, for the Appalachian dulcimer. Now I admit that I don't usually perform any particular song, but I have used these in recordings that I've done where I wanted to just have some sort of a dulcimerish effect going on with other instruments. So, and it's just fun to play with one of these things. But you don't have to spend a bunch of money to get one of these. I just got it because it was so pretty. Chopsticks, they work great. They have a nice weight to them too. So you just kind of hold it between your thumb and your finger, and you just let it, you just have to do that, and it just sounds very interesting, doesn't it? So that's a couple of tricks for you to think of when you're playing the dulcimer in different ways. Try a chopstick. Try a rubber band.